Team DK 2014. What happens when you take the best players from across the world, put them on one team, and they still don't win? After a disappointing 5th to 6th place finish at the International 2013, Team DK underwent a major post-TI3 rebuild in September 2013, retaining only Captain Burning, who considered the best anti-mage player in the history of the game. Citing his inability to live up to his fans' expectations, Burning put his post-TI3 retirement plans on hold to recreate DK. He brought in Lan M and retained MMY from the previous iteration of Team DK, also adding players from outside China, such as Ice, a Singaporean offlaner known for his mechanical skill and versatility, and Mushi, a mid laner from Malaysian team Orange Esports, known for his lane dominance and drafting flexibility. Team DK had what was widely regarded as an all-star roster. What made them a super team was their history in competitive Dota. Their experience across multiple metagame shifts gave them the ability to play different positions. Burning, whose Dota 1 days featured precise jungling. Lan M, who has played at virtually every position in competitive Dota 2. Ice, who had previously played support, mid, and carry. And MMY, who was once considered the best solo mid in the world. Wikipedia's historical description of DK notes that the organization became known for assembling a star-studded lineup, comparing them to football's Galacticos, the strategy of stacking famous stars onto one team. While it references earlier DK history as well, it captures why the 2014 rebuild felt so significant, bringing together renowned names from different elite squads. They instantly became a terrifying team in early 2014, claiming their first Premier Dota 2 title in the WPC-Ace League 2013 to 2014 by defeating Invictus Gaming 4-3 in a monumental comeback after falling behind 0-3 in the grand final. DK then went on to win Star Ladder Season 9, defeating Team Empire 3-0 without dropping a single game in the offline stage. However, at the International 2014 in Seattle, Washington, the team heartbreakingly finished in 4th place, losing to Evil Geniuses in the winner's bracket, and then to fellow Chinese team Vici Gaming in the loser's bracket. After TI4, Burning and Lan M retired. Mushi returned to Malaysia for personal reasons. MMY transferred to LGD, and Ice transferred to Vici Gaming. Team DK attempted to rebuild their roster with younger players, but the effort never found success. On November 16, 2015, Team DK officially announced their disbandment. Following that year, 2015, also the original Team Secret was formed after Puppy failed to reach the TI Grand Final for the first time in his career. He and Kuroki left Navi and built a new roster from scratch. They brought in No-Tail and Fly, well-known Fnatic veterans who had decent results but came up short at TY4. To round out the lineup, they added S4, the Swedish star mid laner from Alliance who had already won TI3. On paper, it looked like an all-star dream team pulled from the 3 biggest Western organizations. The team was very ambitious from the start, with 2 or 3 players switching roles to make it work. Kuroki moved to carry from his usual position 4, Fly wanted to be a carry but played off lane, and No-Tail slotted into position 4 despite being a mid laner back in Han. After some early success, Team Secret went through its first major roster change in 2015. Founding members No-Tail and Fly departed, and in came Arteezy and Zai. According to Puppy himself, he originally only planned to recruit Zai, but ended up accepting Arteezy too because of the friendship between the players. This formed what people now call Secret 2.0. Arteezy as carry, Zai on offlane, Kuroki back on support, S4 staying mid, and Puppy as captain. On paper, this roster looked almost unfair. In the months before TI5, they went on an insane run, like One Red Bull Battlegrounds, the Summit 3, Mars TV League 2015 Spring, and lastly, ESL1 Frankfurt 2015. 4 tournament wins in roughly 6 weeks. People weren't just calling them favorites, they were calling them the best team in the world. Then TI5 happened. Team Secret were eliminated by Virtus Pro in the lower bracket quarterfinals, losing 2-1 in a best of 3. They finished 7th to 8th place, a result that shocked the entire Dota 2 community. So what went wrong? A few things. The roster was so stacked with legendary players that clashing playstyles and ego conflicts were almost inevitable. There were reportedly shifting opinions on drafting, and the tension didn't stay behind closed doors. There were visible shouting matches between players on stage. When you've got that many stars in one team, sometimes the biggest enemy isn't the opponent across the map. Technically, this team weren't seen as a super team at first, but more of a mix of veterans plus rising stars. Before the team formed, the two veterans, No Tail and Fly, decided to leave Team Secret in late 2014 and join different teams. However, but after the poor performance of both of their team, the two veterans decided to reunite again to build a fresh team around chemistry and talent. They created a stacked team called Monkey Business, which later became OG after qualifying for the Frankfurt Major. From there, they quickly became one of the most dominant Western Dota 2 teams. By 2016, OG claimed a second Dota Major Championship title at the Manila Major and defeated Navi at ESL1 Frankfurt 2016, securing their invite to the International 2016. Going into TI6, OG had placed top 3 in their last 5 events, making it one of the greatest season runs in Dota 2 history, with dominant form over all Western teams. Despite being heavy favorites, it all fell apart fast. OG performed brilliantly in the group stage, finishing first in Group A with 11 points. But things took a terrible turn. They lost their first upper bracket match against MVP Phoenix, then got crushed by TNC Gaming in the lower bracket, eliminating them from the tournament. The fledgling Filipino squad TNC Pro defeated the two-time major champions in just 2 games, still considered one of the biggest upsets in Dota 2 history. OG finished 9th to 12th place, a humiliating result for a team expected to win it all. Shortly after their disappointing run, OG announced that Moon Meander would no longer be an active player, and that Crit and Miracle would be leaving the team. Internal reports cited personality conflicts within the team as part of the reason. The 2016 Immortals lineup is remembered as one of the earliest NA super teams because it combined star imports, proven NA veterans, and players who were recently pushed out of top teams. Immortals was announced on October 7, 2015, as a new esports franchise, essentially the new brand of Team 8, whose LCS slot they acquired. With a fresh brand and strong financial backing, Immortals went out and built something special. On December 8, 2015, they announced their new lineup. Huni plus Rainover were coming off a legendary rookie year on Fnatic, where they dominated Europe and reached World semifinals. Pobelter had just won NALCS with CLG but got replaced. Wild Turtle was a longtime TSM star who lost his spot after Double Lift joined. Adrian was considered one of NA's better supports from Team Impulse and had strong lane reputation. Heading into Week 6 of the NALCS Spring Split 2016, they managed to go 17 and 0-1 for a very strong regular season record, with the only team beating them being Counterlogic Gaming, the second-place team in the regular season. Despite all of this, the playoffs told a different story. Immortals were the heavy favorites to win the split, but fell in a shocking 0-3 loss against Team Solo Mid, moving them to the third-place match against Team Liquid. They won that match, finishing third place and earning $15,000. Immortals came back strong in summer, finishing second in the regular season behind TSM. They finished the 2016 spring and summer regular seasons in first and second respectively, but only secured third in both playoffs. Their playoff issues came down to drafting and adaptation. Huni played 5 completely different champions across 5 games against Cloud9, and questionable picks in key roles cost them dearly. They finished third again in the summer playoffs. After 2 third-place finishes, Immortals had one last shot at Worlds through the NA Regional Qualifier. IMT barely missed Worlds that year because they lost to Cloud9 in the Regional Qualifier. It was the final nail in the coffin for this legendary lineup. Sadly, Immortals' one-year player contracts lapsed in November 2016, and 4 of their 5 players departed the team. Rainover left for Team Liquid, while Huni joined 3-time world champions SK Telecom T1, splitting up the iconic duo of 2 years. Adrian moved on to Phoenix 1, and AD carry Wild Turtle rejoined his former team, Team Solo Mid. Across the Atlantic, Europe had its own super team nightmare, and it was messy. In December 8th, 2021, Team Vitality assembled their super team and officially revealed the new LEC lineup, called it the biggest LEC roster ever seen. Alfari in top, Selfmade in jungle, Perks in mid, Karzi in AD carry, and Labrov for support, with Mephisto as their head coach. Vitality had been a mess in the first 3 years of the LEC. The general sentiment going into 2021 was that the team would either crash out and burn or qualify for Worlds. Vitality's co-founder Neo set his goal for 2022 as being able to create title contenders. In League, it was about convincing superstars and proven winners that Vitality could be the right fit. He drew up multiple contingency plans, including building around Reckley's or keeping the 2021 core with upgrades, but ultimately went all in on assembling the dream roster. The community baptized the star-studded roster as the LEC's new Superteam. Vitality called it the biggest LEC roster ever seen. Despite the star power, the spring split was a mess. Vitality was the final team to qualify for playoffs, barely scraping in. The bot lane of Kardzi and Labrov was described as quite abysmal given their expectations, costing the team more than one game by squandering leads. Labrov in particular was a non-starter, and Self-Made was widely considered the MVP of the team, the one holding things together. In the playoffs, they needed 5 games to beat Excel in round 1, far closer than anyone expected. Then they ran into G2, who swept them 3-0. Caps outdueled Perks throughout, and key smite misses from Self-Made on Baron, and Elder Dragon proved decisive. Between splits, Vitality removed Self-Made from the starting roster, bringing in Korean jungler Haru and Chinese sub Bo. It didn't help. G2 demolished them in 32 minutes during the summer split. Analysts noted that Vitality had never shown the level of play their roster should have been capable of, and they consistently failed to convert early advantages through the mid-game. After the season ended, Self-Made, Haru, and Labrov were all made available for transfer. The core issue was simple. The talent on paper never translated into cohesive team play. Perks never recaptured his G2-era dominance. The team lacked identity despite having some of the biggest names in EU League of Legends history on the same roster. It remains one of the most talked about Superteam failures in LEC history. Astana Dragons were one of the first true super teams in early CSGO. The organization was based in Kazakhstan, but the roster was built from the biggest stars in the CIS region, Ukraine, Russia, and Kazakhstan. They only existed for about 5 months in 2013, but the hype around them was enormous. The Superteam was formed when the core of Virtus.pro, Angel, Dosia, Adren, became available after Virtus.pro dropped its CSGO lineup. Around the same time, 2 legendary stars from Navi, Markelov, and Edward left their organization. A Kazakhstan-backed esports project decided to combine these players into one roster under the Astana Dragons banner. Their first big international LAN, DreamHack Bucharest 2013, brought a close best-of-3 loss to NIP and a single win over a weakened Navi roster. StarLadder 7 saw them beat NIP in a close series, but they lost convincingly to Very Games twice. For almost any other team, beating NIP on LAN would be a career highlight. But for a super team, silver medals simply would not cut it. The most damning blow came at ESWC 2013. The nearly unknown French side Clan Mystic burned through the bracket, beating Astana Dragons in a best-of-3 and going on to win the entire event. As far as everyone was concerned, in the space of just 3 months, the Astana Dragons had seen their peak and fall. Unfortunately, despite having massive firepower, they never won a premier international championship. Despite the insane talent on paper, cracks appeared quickly. On November 6th, less than 4 months after forming, Astana Dragons released Edward, replacing him with Kucher. Losing one of the core pieces that made the Superteam concept compelling was a big blow to their identity. By December 30th, 2013, Astana Dragons had completely parted ways with their team, dissolved after barely half a year of existence. FaZe Clan entered CSGO seriously in early 2016 by acquiring a full roster. However, early results were poor. The team failed to make the playoffs at multiple events and couldn't make an impact even in B-tier tournaments. FaZe decided to sign Finn Kerrigan Anderson as their in-game leader, who was considered one of the best IGLs in the world at the time, having previously played for Astralis. In February 2017, FaZe Clan also brought in Nico, spending another $500,000 on one of the best players in the world. This led to immediate improvements, including second-place finishes at IEM Katowice 2017 and IEM Sydney 2017. But after a humiliating early exit at the PGL Major Krakow 2017, FaZe bought out the contract of Ladislav Guardian Kovac from Natus Vincere to replace their Upper Alu, while also replacing Kyoshima with former world #1 player Olaf Meister. Rain was the final piece to complete what many considered the best team in history. 5 elite players from 5 different nationalities. As a result of these major changes, FaZe was dubbed a super team by fans and critics alike. Once assembled, FaZe won ECS Season 3 Europe, SLI League Star Series Season 3 Finals, ESL1 New York 2017, E-League CSGO Premier 2017, and ECS Season 4 finals. For the remainder of 2017, FaZe Clan placed out of the top 3 only once and were the favorites to win every tournament. The start of their downfall happened when the team choked in the Boston Major when FaZe led 15-11 on the deciding Inferno map against Cloud9, effectively holding the trophy in their hands, and still lost in overtime. Cloud9 came from behind to beat FaZe 2-1, with the deciding Inferno going all the way to 22-19 in double overtime. It remains one of the most dramatic and painful collapses in CSGO history. The Superteam was 1 round away from being major champions. The team imploded following the major. Olaf Meister took multiple breaks from the team, and FaZe became a revolving door of player transfers. Despite some later triumphs, Kerrigan was benched from FaZe in December 2018. The general mood in the team was that a major change was needed, and the players landed on a change of leadership as their natural next step forward. Nico then took over in-game leadership, his first attempt at full IGL duties, which ultimately proved unsuccessful. Without a clear structure, the team struggled more and more in long tournaments. The Superteam dissolved when Kerrigan left in 2018, Guardian in 2019, and lastly, Nico in 2020. The original 2024 Superteam NRG started the VCT 2024 season by letting go of FNS and Sam, leaning heavily on the optic duo of Victor and Crashies, while acquiring the core engine of Evil Geniuses 2023 championship roster Ethan and Demon 1, along with Marv. Heading into 2024, Coach Chet confirmed that Ethan would take over the IGL responsibilities previously held by FNS, who was released alongside longtime member Sum. The logic behind the roster made complete sense on paper. Crashies, Victor, and Marv had nearly won everything together under Optic Gaming. Demon 1 was fresh off winning Valorant Champions 2023 with Evil Geniuses and was widely considered one of the best duelists in the world. Ethan was also a world champion. At first glance, the new NRG lineup was one of the scariest rosters in the world, brimming with talent and accomplishments. The horrible run started at VCT 2024 America's kickoff, going 2-0 in the group stage by defeating Furia and Cloud9. However, they were eliminated in the semifinals, finishing 3rd to 4th and missing out on Masters Madrid. In VCT 2024 America's Stage 1, NRG failed to even advance past the group stage. They bowed out with a poor 3-3 record, marking their second consecutive failure to qualify for an international Masters event. The team struggled badly with Ethan in the IGL role, missing Masters Madrid during kickoff and then finishing at the bottom of their group in Stage 1, missing Masters Shanghai. Marv and Demon 1 didn't look comfortable with how the team played, mirroring their poor Stage 1 performance. With Stage 2 approaching, NRG made significant changes, benching Demon 1 and releasing Marvid. Both had joined in early 2024, but the star-studded roster had failed to deliver results. Former NRG members Sam and FNS returned to the team for Stage 2, joining Crashies, Victor, and Ethan, with Demon 1 standing by as a substitute. The idea was that familiarity and FNS resuming IGL duties would reset the team's trajectory, but the final collapse happened at VCT 2024 America's Stage 2, where they finished in 8th place and failed to qualify for international tournaments. NRG missed Champions 2024 entirely, marking a catastrophic end for what was supposed to be a super team. After the season, NRG released both longtime coach Chet Singh and Victor Wong, 2 original pillars of the organization who had been together since the Optic Gaming days. The full dismantling of the 2024 roster followed, with the org essentially starting fresh for 2025.